Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next-level tactics. From off-site and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition.
Welcome back to another episode of the SEO.co podcast. Today we're going to talk about SEO Keyword Research. When you search for information, you enter specific keywords and phrases into a search bar. Google or a similar search engine then fetches results based in part on site authority, but mostly based on the relevance to that given inquiry. If you want to be successful in SEO, you need to understand what people are searching for, how often they're searching for it, and why they're searching for it. So how can you find this information? It all starts with keyword research, the process of uncovering keyword opportunities for your brand to rank higher in search engines. Let's start by covering the basics of keyword research. The concept, as usual in the online marketing world, is simple, but the execution is more complex. Essentially, you'll be discovering what types of queries online users are using in search, then using that information to optimize your pages in a way that makes them more likely to rank for those queries. But it's not as simple as you might think, as keywords no longer work the way they used to. The old model of keyword research was quite simple, as Google's search algorithm was relatively simple. It functioned on a one-to-one basis, separating a user's query into its base components and finding where those components were featured most throughout the web. For example, let's say you searched for the phrase Burger Restaurant Denver. Google would separate the query into its keywords and keyword phrases, then look through pages throughout the web that featured these specific words and phrases. It wasn't quite as simple as finding out which websites use these words the most because authority was also taken into some consideration, but it was close to that. Google might have taken a look at a page that features the phrase burger restaurant multiple times as well as Denver a few times, and might have prioritized a site that featured the exact phrase burger restaurant Denver in the text of that page, even though that phrase never naturally came up in actual human conversation. Google did rely on synonyms, but again, only in a one-to-one relationship. Because of how Google worked, the old model of keyword research was based on finding these common keyword phrases, even if they were semantically nonsensical, and sprinkling them throughout a site. For example, you might create a page on your site titled Burger Restaurant Denver specifically to rank for these types of queries, along with variations of that phrase like Best Burger Joint Denver or Good Burgers Denver. Google fought back against such unnatural-looking attempts at ranking higher in search engines for these type of search queries with various algorithm updates, including the monumental content-focused Panda update in 2011. But it wasn't until 2013 that the fundamental keyword basis of Google search was overhauled with the Hummingbird update. Hummingbird introduced the concept of semantic search, which looks at the context of a user's search query rather than its exact keyword composition. Hummingbird sees a query like Burger Restaurant Denver and is able to infer that a user is looking for a burger restaurant in Denver, Colorado. Then it scours the internet for websites of actual burger restaurants in Denver that have a high enough authority rank for the query. That authority is calculated based on literally hundreds of factors, but in this case, one of the highest factors for a local restaurant would likely be its reviews and ratings on review sites like Yelp. This difference may seem small, but it's made the entire concept of keyword density, once an essential component of keyword optimization, practically obsolete. You don't necessarily have to include the phrase Burger Restaurant Denver in your website at all to rank for that query, as long as Google understands that you're a burger restaurant in its semantic deciphering of your content. This, along with Pandas, another Google algorithm's, favoritism for high-quality content has helped spawn our modern golden age of content. Well-written, quality, valuable on-site content gives you more opportunity to establish relevance for topics related to your brand and cover a wide range of different potential searches. Okay, so are keywords still relevant then? After listening to this, you might think that keywords are no longer relevant. After all, Google no longer takes them into consideration when trying to match a query to a selection of pages. However, this isn't quite true. Keywords are still important for consideration, just in a different way than they used to be. Google still relies on keywords to help it understand the subject matter of various pages and websites. As a simple example, it might see the words law firm and litigation several times on a page and understand that this is probably a website litigation attorney. But this is even more important in complex cases, such as when a user searches for something conventionally, like what's the difference between general relativity and Newtonian gravity. Google can't easily reduce this query to a single concept, but it can scout for articles that seem to use the phrase general relativity and Newtonian gravity in a comparative context, and will probably even favor a site that happens to use the exact extended phrase entered. Because of this, it's still important to pay attention to your phrasing, but the majority of your keyword matches will arise naturally as long-tail phrases, as long as you have a solid content strategy. This has led to a differentiation between bona fide keyword research and topic research for content, two of the main sections on our larger blog post about SEO keyword research, but I'll dig into those in the next episode. Thanks again for listening to the SEO.co podcast, and we'll see you next time as we continue the series.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.